I'm a marriage and family therapist, Daniel Dashnaw, and this is the Better Relationships Through Research podcast. Some of you may have seen something interesting on Drudge recently that said that divorced and unmarried people have a lower incidence of cognitive decline and Alzheimer's. I was really shocked to see that. So I dove into the research and decided to give you guys the real skinny as to what's happening there. The problem with this study at Florida State is it looks respectable on the surface. You had 18 years following 24,000 humans through time. Unfortunately, what happened here is the researchers confabulated basically a process of looking at status of marriage as opposed to the quality of marriage. There were absolutely no questions in the study about the quality of the marriages that were being noted. So here's the problem. Doesn't it make sense that single people living alone would have fewer reports of cognitive decline? When you think about one of the aspects of a marriage or committed relationship is that it preserves emotional memory and there's a shared cognition between both partners. In other words, if Joe is off, Mary's going to know it and maybe get him in to see a doctor sooner than if Joe is off and is divorced and lives alone. I thought that was kind of obvious from a research perspective. But really, what kind of alarms me about this is the ease to which this research was spun and distorted in popular culture to suggest that you're actually safer and more secure, even within the realm of your cognition, if you're divorced or if you're single. Well, here's the real science on it. If you're in a happy, loving, abiding, intimate relationship, you'll live longer, you'll have better cognition, your health will be better, your happiness will be better. If you're in a miserable marriage and you suffer daily, of course, that's worse than being in any marriage of any duration, so you might as well leave. And so we might find people who are divorced, having recently been stressed, and people who choose to live alone. My key point is they might not have the stress of marriage and daily encounters in a bad marriage, but they also lack the good that comes from a good marriage. But in either case, there's still an emotional presence, an emotional knowing, an emotional counterpart that helps you curate emotional history as a couple as you move through time. And what I mean is, if you're off, your partner, no matter how much they like you here or there, is prone to notice. Another thing about this study that I found particularly interesting was how marriage is now being identified as something that's bad for you, that's actually a problem, that you're much better off living alone. And when I read reviews of this research, it tended to accept that as a fundamental premise. Once you, again, conflating the notion of what's the quality of the marriage you're in versus the status of being married, period. Thank you for bestowing your valuable attention on my first monologue episode here. I care deeply about the topic of marriage, especially what's being said about it in the popular culture. If you like what you've heard here, maybe check out my website, Daniel Dashnaw, couplestherapy.com. I've written an blog episode there that directly discusses this research and many other types of research as well. Thanks again for listening. Be well, stay kind, and Godspeed.